the Canadian island controlled by America. G'day guys, how's it going? My name is AussieTash. This video was suggested to me by one of my members on Discord. Really interested in finding out what's going on here. But before we get into it, please make sure to jump on, hit that subscribe button. That would really help me out. Or join my Discord so we can have an online chat and you can share me some video suggestions and we can learn together. Okay, let's go. The Canadian island controlled by America.
Well, the thing about being here is, are we in Canada or are we in America? Even they're confused.
It's true. Even when looking around here, it's hard to tell.
We've covered places like Point Roberts, Washington.
Do you support the purchase of Point Roberts by the government of Canada?
And the strange little American bump, Angle Inlet, Minnesota.
What would you take to court exactly?
Not being able to go to your own country? That seems like an infringement of your liberty, isn't it?
But off the far northeastern corner of Maine is Campobello Island, a Canadian city trapped in America.
We live in an area where we're isolated on all four sides.
This Canadian island has absolutely no connection to Canada. Fortunately, there's one bridge to the United States.
So we are required to travel back and forth for almost nearly everything.
Having limited healthcare, no gas, limited groceries, and having to travel back and forth into the US.
It's impossible to live here now. It's really hard.
And because they are literally connected to the United States, the residents are undergoing an identity crisis because of this North American border that makes no sense. And some have even proposed a trade with one of these cities that could solve their problems and more.
Okay, I'm just straight away thinking, how would the people living on this island would have gotten through COVID? That would have been a whole nother nightmare, wouldn't it? My gosh. So they're a Canadian island, have no way to get to any shops in Canada, can only go to America to get their groceries and stuff like that. How would have this all worked during COVID? Please, if you know or if you have some stories, leave some comments and let me know. It's bizarre already. Completely, totally bizarre.
Having so many similarities, we knew we had to go.
Oh, you could almost walk.
Chris is definitely right. This bridge to Campobello Island is only 847 feet long. And here in the Bay of Fundy, tides ebb and flow more than anywhere in the world. So at times, one could almost walk across the border without the bridge.
You have your mask put on? Any cannabis products or oils?
No. Alright, you're all set.
To start off our curious Canadian journey, I met with Stephanie, the knower of all things Campobello at the library.
Are you Stephanie?
Welcome, I am.
Hi.
Okay, you're going to hear this story a million times when you talk to people, but the urban myth or rural myth is that the guy that was in charge of drawing the boundaries for this area was drunk, and that's how we ended up being Canadian rather than American.
What are other things that could help alleviate the stresses of this odd border?
Every facet of existence that you can think of is complicated by living here. So when you say what things, everything. Anything that you might need or use in your normal life, it's different here. I mean, we don't have a gas station, so to gas up in our cars, we have to go into Maine.
Okay, so a drunk guy wrote the map that created this border, and now you've got this. Just going back to that footage, these guys, to cross this 8-kilometre bridge, to go into this, well, Canadian island that's controlled by America, you got to have passports, you got to have face masks. Obviously might have been because of COVID and everything, but these people that live on this Canadian island that can't even get fuel for their car have to have their passport and go through customs to go and fill up their car and get some twisties. This is just bizarre, isn't it?
This inconvenience was something we soon experienced. We were forced to cross back into the US.
Thank you.
Drive very carefully to the nearest gas station, top off, and make the trip home. Back to Canada?
Are you the Off the Cuff Boys?
You know the Off the Cuff Boys?
It's a small island.
You're a pretty special part of the world.
Well, I think if you're used to living here, it's pretty unique and special, and takes a lot of adjustment if you're not, right? We have landowners come in, buy houses, and think, can't do this. 2 or 3 months later, leave.
What is it that people can't deal with?
It's the borders.
Our morning trip to Tim Hortons, for example, outlines the struggle perfectly. 4 border crossings in order to get some Timmy Hoes doesn't seem very Canadian to me. But for us, it was worth it. However, for Canadians who live here, there have been serious repercussions, especially during the pandemic.
Both Canada and the United States will temporarily restrict all non-essential travel across the Canada-US border.
You know how isolated everybody was during the pandemic? Well, times that by, 100. And that's what it was like here.
Many residents of Campobello Island couldn't reach the rest of their country. Here is a solution. Essentially, it's a ramp that leads down to a ferry that brings residents of Campobello Island to the rest of their country. The only problem? It doesn't run year-round. So now I'm stuck at the bottom of this ramp and I want to get to the rest of Canada. Oops, no barge. Half the year, they don't have one. So they're just stuck. You gotta reverse, and it's dangerous, and it's scary. It smells like burnt rubber. He's slamming on the brakes like a motherfucker.
Because of this, community members have banded together and began petitioning for a year-round ferry service.
They've been fighting for a ferry here for a long time, but definitely since the pandemic, they've been full on.
It's been 2 decades worth of trying to make that happen.
There was a time where Campobello was seemingly one of the most serene places in North America, and for that, we're going to need a little history. Campobello Island, now technically a part of Canada, has a complicated history. For thousands of years, the island belonged to the First Nations people of Passamaquoddy and is recognized as the easternmost tribe in Native American history. Then, in 1604, the French took over the territory. The reign lasted until 1713, when the Treaty of Utrecht was signed, giving the land to the British. By the 1860s, the population had grown to over 1,000 residents. But in 1866, the Fenian Brotherhood, a group of Irish exiles, set out to take over the island.
So they geared up and invaded from Eastport, which is just across the bay. And the British Navy had to defend against their attack.
The British Navy eventually shut them down, but the battle frightened the islanders. And because of this, just 1 year later in 1867, New Brunswick formed with the British North America into the country of Canada.
The island was there for a catalyst for the formation of Canada as a country.
Please, someone let me know. What is the population of this island? How many people live on there? She mentioned there was no gas station there. Is there a school? What's the economy like in terms of growth, in terms of jobs? Is there a hospital there? What's going on there? What makes people want to move there? Is it just fisheries? Is it a very healthy fisheries industry going on there? I have so many questions. Please, guys, jump on. Tell me your stories. Leave some comments. I'd love to hear them.
In the 1880s, wealthy Americans went up north and bought up much of the property on the island for their summer homes. One of the families to move in were the Roosevelts, and in 1908, this cottage was gifted to the 32nd American president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was here in 1921 that FDR developed what was thought to be polio. After Eleanor Roosevelt's death, the property was deeded to both the US and Canadian governments, forming the only international park in the world.
So who runs this place?
I do.
Are you American or Canadian?
I'm British. So that confuses it even more.
Yes.
Yeah. A British guy running a joint Canadian-US park, so...
So this is an international park.
It's the only one in the world.
What makes this island even more international are the residents.
A large number of the population here are dual national because there were no hospitals within easy reach of the island on the Canadian side. So many were born in the US back when you automatically got United States citizenship from being born there. If you ask an islander, what do you consider yourself? They are proud to say, I'm a Campobello resident.
So when I was growing up, crossing the border was really easy. Basically, you knew all the customs officers on this side and that side. Many times they just waved you through or what have you.
Man, this is a gong show. What's going on here? That's what this is. An absolute gong show. Things have gone completely pear-shaped with this little island. their international park. I mean, that's pretty cool. But it's controlled by a British fella. What is going on with this island? I just wish they'd all get together and sort it out so these people that live on this island can easily go and fill up their car, get some groceries, get the healthcare they need, send their kids to school, all the stuff that we take for granted every day. These poor people, they just can't do.
In 2009, I think it was, passports became mandatory. And not everybody can afford to equip their whole family with passports. So the last time our population was this low was 1851.
Residents here feel violated. Their mail has to be delivered from mainland Canada, through Maine, then back into Campobello Island. Upon arrival, people here have noticed that their mail is being searched by the U.S. Border Patrol. Adding to their discomfort, gas stations, grocers, and banks are closing on the island, making Canadian citizens even more dependent on a trip to America.
This is Newsbreak 26 in southwest New Brunswick. Hundreds rallied to protest the closure of the island's only bank.
This is a great island. It's full of great people, and I just want to see it keep thriving.
Everything I do is dual. Everything I do is buy. I have a post office box in the U.S. I have a post office box in Canada. I have a Canadian Amazon account and I have a U.S. Amazon account. Healthcare? No healthcare.
Are there any positives on this side?
Cheaper products, lower taxes. No guns, more of a social network. I think there are fewer worries. You probably make more money in the U.S., but you pay more in healthcare.
How American is Campobello?
I'm gonna say 50-50, probably.
That's a pretty good percentage.
It is a good
considering we're in
percentage.
Canada.
I know.
Do people here wish that this were America?
No. No, I would think not. I would hope not. No, I don't think they do. I think outsiders looking in always jump to that conclusion that we wish, maybe they wish they were American. No. I don't think the general consensus wishes we were American.
Wow, so they need a passport to go to the bank and get money out of the bank. And what did that lady say? A passport is what, $260 US, which in Australia, that's like $320. Imagine having to accommodate that for your whole family, assuming that you're even granted dual citizenship. And then they ask the question to these people that live on this island, are you American or are you Canadian? They consider themselves to be Canadian. All they're asking for is a way to things to be worked out for their lives to be easier. And you know what? They deserve that too.
Would it be a fair trade to say...
Nope.
Can't even let me get it done.
No, I don't want to trade. I don't want to be part of the U.S. No, I don't want to trade.
Yeah. What?
I do. She's hollering. She wants to trade. Lori.
Okay, so what are the reasons why you don't want to trade?
Well, because I'm Canadian. I don't want to live in the U.S. I don't want to be American. I just want Canada to recognize that we're Canadian. Give us a ferry.
Having this ferry could help resolve one of the most intrusive issues with this strange border, the banning of goods and produce. For example, on our trip, it was illegal to bring eggs or chicken into Canada from the U.S., which we definitely didn't. I don't think. Maybe a few eggs.
Bringing groceries here from the U.S. is a challenge because you don't know from day to day what you can and can't bring across the border.
It depends on how trade relations are going. There'll be some product that's banned for whatever reason. Not too long ago, you weren't allowed to bring citrus fruit through. Before that was potatoes at one point.
Actually, I sat behind a gentleman the other day for 20 minutes while they figured out on the American side what to do with a packet of eggs that he has because all chicken products are banned.
So I'm going to do the Canadian thing, and instead of get one of their chicken menus items, I'm going to get the poutine, of course. This is my first true Canadian poutine. I'm just going to stay here forever.
Getting back to that poutine, I cannot wait to try my first Canadian poutine. So let me get this right. There is a ferry that operates half of the year. that could allow the people to go to another Canadian town and get all the resources that they need. But like I said, it's only in operation 6 months of the year. They've been petitioning to get it operational 12 months of the year, but it's just not happening. What do these people need to do? I'm not really quite too sure how it works. Do they give Justin Trudeau a call and say, hey mate, we need a ferry. Can you help us? It needs to be fixed up. We live in 2023. How is this still a problem? What's going on here? Trudeau and is it Biden? You guys just need to get together, have some poutine, and sort this out.
An idea that has been floated is a trade between Campobello Island and Point Roberts, Washington. Each location experiences a similar situation, but are affected on opposing sides of the border. If these pieces of land were traded by the US and Canadian governments, many border issues could swiftly be resolved. However, prideful residents in both situations may not agree with the shift in lifestyle.
Okay, I'm going to have to keep on exploring this situation and see what goes on in the future with this. This is so fascinating, so bizarre. Like they said, come on Trudeau, come on Biden, just get in there and find a way to work it out. It's crazy. These poor people, they are proud Canadians, and the Americans, they don't want to be Canadians. It's the same thing, isn't it? You can't ask a patriotic, proud American to be considered as a Canadian. And you can't ask a proud Canuck to be considered an American. It just doesn't go that way. Fascinated. Absolutely fascinated. Guys, if you know more about what's going on with this situation, please jump on, leave a comment, let me know. That was the video for today. I really enjoyed it. Found it bizarre. If you did, please smash the like button, leave a comment, and remember to subscribe. That would really help me out. Cheers from down under. Take care. Bye.